Today we continue with our class Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. And today's topic, recipe for success. That's good. The infinite benefit of avoiding strife in financial matters through the proper bitachon, trust in HaShem, can be understood with the following parable. So before we continue, so bitachon is believing in HaShem that He's running the world, and He's responsible for everything, including our parnasa, our sustenance. Right? So if person knows that he's not going to lose or she's not going to lose anything, even if you give in, even we write 100%, and somebody think that they're right, another side, so just give in, and some people think that they're going to lose. Okay, but bitachon and Hashem that we're not going to lose, we're going to gain. Okay, so let's see the example from Chafetz Chaim himself. A father distributed a portion of food to his sons who were gathering around his table. One son reached over and snatched his brother's portion. When the victim saw that his portion would not be returned, he went to the head of the table and told his father what had happened. "I'm sure, father," said the son, "that you do not want me to fight with my brother. That is why I'm requesting another portion for myself." So instead of fighting with his brother, right, he went to his father and said, just give me another portion. I'm not complaining. I just want to eat. That's it. Just give me my portion. Upon hearing this, his father kissed his son on the head and handed him larger portion than before. The father said, "Let your foolish brother keep your original portion. The next time we eat together, you will receive a double portion, while he will get nothing." Right? That's how Hashem operates. So wherever, when somebody is trying to steal from somebody, he only stealing from himself. He's not going to benefit, or she's not going to benefit from this money. It looks like that person is gained, but then they're going to lose. Now what would be the father's reaction? Have they had the victimized son yelled at his brother and attack him physically until he succeeded in retrieving his portion? Right? Well, surely the father would have been very upset. He would have told the victim, "I would have gladly given you another portion rather than have you and your brother come to blows with one another. What utter foolishness you have demonstrated." So father said, "Look, I have the whole pot, the whole frying pan, the whole cooking pan. I have everything. Like, what are you fighting? I have all of the portions in the world. Just come to me. I give you extra." When a Jew adversely affects another financial affairs and refuses to honor a request that he sees his own wrongful practices, and the victim pleads before Hashem that he replenish his losses, surely he will find a favor above for demonstrating his trust in Hashem and pursuing the path of peace. So the victim did not go. I mean, he tried to ask nicely, politely, but the other side refuses. And guess what? Hashem is going to hear the victim. And his trust, meaning he went to Hashem directly, and his trust will be rewarded, yet greater success in the business endeavors. However, if one chooses to feud with a person who has done him wrong, so we're not talking about that we are delusional and somebody did not do us wrong. So we're all grown up, so we know that whatever he did is not right. Whatever he did, it's not honest, right? But if you do what wrong, he will not find a favor before Hashem, like the victimized son in our parable, who upset his father by taking matters in his own hands. Commentary. Of course, the victim has every right to seek retribution in Jewish court of law. or pursue other avenues which are sanctified by halacha. So whatever sanctified by halacha, for example, it's never sanctified by halacha to go straight to the non-Jewish court. And that's a person who goes to non-Jewish court is another Jew, have no portion in what to come. Okay, so unless you have a clear permission, a written permission from a base din that you're allowed to take that the Jew to a regular court, secular court. Okay, we start now. So we start very interesting topic. So today we learn Kitzur, as we said, and we start new topic. And the subject, so it's Siman 37, page 25, and the laws of immersing utensils. Okay, so let's see from the beginning. Okay, so sif number one. Okay, sif number one. When someone purchases a utensil whose function relates to a meal from an idolater, even if they're new utensils and there are no concern that they were used for non-kosher food, if they are made of any type of metal or glass, he is forbidden to use them for any food purpose, even for cold foods, right? Until he immerses them in a spring or in a mikveh, ritual bath, that is valid for immersion of a woman who is in nida. Okay. This immersion is required so that the utensil will emerge thereby from the spiritual impurity of having been owned by an idolater and enter into the holiness of the being owned by a Jew. Okay, so let's read this piece. It's one paragraph with commentaries, and we're going to explain. When someone purchases a utensil whose function related to a meal from an idolater, commentary, this will be further explained below. See of 8 and 9. Okay, so it means that it's it would be connected to a meal, meaning to the food that you can actually eat, right? For example, flour, like regular flour, you cannot eat, or some other things, or raw meat, you cannot eat, or stuff like that, right? So if he is preparation from idolater, so basically from if we buy in any store from any non-Jew, maybe he's idolater, maybe he's not an idolater, maybe even not religious Jews, so we have to dip them in the mikveh. Even if the utensils are new, we're not talking about that it's not new, it's used, and you have to kosher it. That's a different story. We're not talking about that. We're talking about brand new with all of the packing material, right? And there is no concern that they were used for non-kosher food. Okay, so you bought it from Macy's. If they are made of any type of metal or glass, so those two actually those two are biblical, at least metals. Not all of the metals, but many kind of metals. So it's biblical. And glass, it's they say, I would say, just say it's very, very similar to metal. Why? Because you can melt the glass and make another utensil. Same as metal. You can melt your cooking pot and make another, like smaller one. Right? So commentary. Immersion in metal utensils is a biblical requirement. Glass utensils are not included in biblical obligation to immerse in utensil, but require immersion by rabbinical enactment. See Pri Chadash. Okay. Rabbi Moshe finds in Zatzal, writes in Igros Moshe Ragdaya 3, paragraph 22, that utensil made of aluminum, a metal not mentioned in the Torah, and require immersion by rabbinical enactment. See Igros Moshe, paragraph 23, regarding immersion disposable containers. Okay, so they're not going to discuss disposable containers. So let's, since we're on the topic, let's discuss them. So technically, all of the metals, all of the metal utensils, if it's a pure metal, pure meaning like a steel, right? You have stainless steel. right? So like iron. So you would be, that's a perfect example to immerse with a blessing. All of the other utensils, for example, they have this, the layer of, what is it, Teflon or something like that, like all of these different layers. So it's not exactly metal, it's some, it's mix of the materials. So those would be questionable. So if you have one spoon, let's say, or one knife, so better say blessing on that smooth knife rather than it's completely metal, or even partially metal. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be completely metal, right? And then you can immerse the rest of the things. With these disposable containers, they made of aluminum containers, right? So some people use it more than once. For example, if you want to warm up challah in them, I mean, it's absolutely clean. Why would you throw them out? It's a waste of money. So many people, what they do, so technically you're not obligated to immerse this utensil because the name tells of itself. It is disposable. Disposable, that meaning that it's not utensil, just something that you use once. So if your intention is to use only once and dispose of it, there is no problem. So you're not obligated to immerse. But if you are planning to use it multiple times, 2 or 3 times, so in this case, our poskim say, okay, then immerse it, but without blessing. And if it's too hard to do, and that's what and we actually follow the third approach. And the third approach would be to break it. So how do you break it? You cut the corners, all of the 4 corners with the scissors. They're very soft, right? Then you bend the sides. It's like you break it, right? And then you undo the sides, straighten them up, and it's in a sense you fixed it. So you completed the utensil. And since in this case it was fixed and completed by a Jew, so in this case you're not required to immerse them in the mikvah any longer. That's the solution. But if you're planning to use only once, there is no need to do that. Okay, that's what they did not say, but that's what Tigras Moshe says. Okay, metal or glass. Okay, he's forbidden to use them for any food purpose, right? Even for the cold foods, until he immerses them in a spring. So a spring is, of course, it's the best mikveh is a spring, if you have somewhere around, yeah, or a mikveh, right? Or you can take it to the ocean, to wherever body and whatever body of water that water came there naturally without human force, right? So and it's and it says it's enough water for immersing a woman who is nida. Okay, so I mean, okay, they're going to explain. So, woman who is in nida, meaning what? That okay, we're not going to discuss the nida. I mean that she's like rich and impure after her period, right? After her period, she counts 7 clean days, and then after the 7 clean days, she goes and deep into this ritual pool that is called mikveh, or in but any, like in a spring, in the ocean, in a river. But the thing is, it has to be like certain size. A certain size, they call it 40 seah. So 40 seah, I don't remember how many gallons, but technically our bath, like regular bath tap, I think it's like 6 feet, like regular one. That technically it's enough to cover the person if he lays down, and it's the space is flatter, so you can stretch your legs. So that's 40 seah. Of course, it's minimal amount. When you go to women's mikveh, it's of course it's much more than that, maybe 2 or 3 times more than that. If you go to men's mikveh, it's much more lenient because men are not obligated to dip into mikveh, but it's very stringent with the women, of course, because it's biblical. For men, it's not even rabbinical. So continue. I mean, commentary on Nida. Nida is a woman who has experienced menstrual flow. The law of Nida is discussed Siman 153. Up to 162. Okay, we're going to get to it soon. Okay. An immersion of a woman who is in Nida, biblically mandated, necessary to order in order for her to terminate her Nida status. So basically, unless she went to the mikveh, she could be Nida for 20 years, right? So if she never went to mikveh. So some women, let's say, she went to an ocean and she dived, right? But still, it's not guaranteed that she's not Nida because of some factors, right? But let's say if she died and she had intention, dived in the ocean and she had intention and she did whatever she did, whatever not necessary, so then she's not Nida. But somebody has to supervise her because every hair must be under the water. That's why in the mikveh we have mikveh ladies to supervise all these things. As such, a mikveh used by Nida has the most stringent requirement that mikveh used by men, of course, for whom no biblical obligation apply to the immersion nowadays. See Yorah Daya 2011. Okay. So for men, they say if a man cannot go to the mikveh for whatever reason, I mean, usually people go like mostly before the holidays, before Yom Kippur, before Rosh Hashanah, before Pesach, before Shavuos, of course. But even if for a man, if he did not go, he could not, this and that. So they say if he stood up under the shower for a certain period of time, so it's considered as he went to a mikveh. But it's not going to work for a woman. Okay, so technically, let's go back to our utensils. So they must, we must immerse our utensils. Otherwise, we're not allowed to eat from them, right? And of course, the problem is when you go to houses of people and then somewhat observant, okay, they maybe keep meat and milk separate, right? Maybe even they buy kosher food, but to say that they dip all of the utensils, it's not always the case, and sometimes they continue using the old non-kosher utensils, which is a big issue. This immersion is required so that the utensil will emerge thereby from the spiritual impurity of having been owned by an idolater. So it's not like this idolater, this non-Jewish store owner or not religious Jewish store. He did something. He did not. He received them from China, from from wherever, and he's selling them, right? But still impurity even from this manufacturing person. So even I would say even if manufacturer is a Jew, but the seller is like broker. I mean the store owner is not Jew, so they still must dip them into the mikveh. If you know that it was a Jew, so you give it to a Jew. I give you one example. I have only one utensil in my house. No, not one. I mean, yes, few of them. I mean, but they Kiddush cup, and that's the only one that were made by Jews for sure. Others, but most likely not. Okay. Okay, so they emerge thereby from the spiritual impurity of having been owned by an idolater and enter into holiness of being owned by Jew. Okay, that's what we need. Before immersing one is to recite the blessing. When immersing one utensil, he recites Asher Kiddushon b'mitzvah sevitzivanu al tevilas keili. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat, but in English, I'm not going to say the beginning because it's always the same. So just the ending. He has sanctified us with his commandment and commanded us regarding the immersion of utensils, of a utensil. Keli is it? That's it. And kelim. So kelim is utensils. So when we helps people to kosher their kitchen, right? So after the kosher done, so we have to take all of these pots and pans and plates and glasses and everything to the mikveh. Sometimes we go to the ocean. We live not too far from the ocean, and we have a beautiful spot, the boat launcher, right? So you can go with your car like very, very deep, very close to the water, and that's it. So you can do a lot of things at the same time. It's better than go to mikveh in a store. I mean, there is like always people. And sometimes if somebody kosher in the kitchen, I remember for one family, it took us like almost 2 hours. And two of us were deeping and 2 women were packing back. So 2 hours, right? So that's, so in this case, you just say one blessing of kelim, al tevilas kelim, and that's it. And you just keep quiet. Or if you need to say something like Tevilah related, give me the box. Here's the thing. She will tell you take this first and then this. So that's all. That's permissible. So in this case, it would be like one blessing that would cover the whole kitchen. Okay. So let's see the commentary. Utensils manufactured by idolaters require immersion with blessing. Therefore, utensil manufactured in countries where almost manufacturers are idolaters require immersion with a blessing. If one does not know if the manufacturer of the utensil is Jewish, he must still immerse utensil, even if it is made of the material that require immersion only by rabbinical decree. Okay, right, as we said, glass. However, since there is a doubt whether immersion is required, he should not recite the blessing. So if you suspect there is a Jewish owner, right? If the utensil were manufactured by a Jew, they do not require immersion. So as I said about this Kiddush cup, but we immerse it anyway. So we had to immerse other things. So we immersed, so not the one that we said the blessing on, but is one of the other things, right? Just in case, so we had everything immersed. If the intent, just 1 second, this is true even if the manufacturer is not observant or Shabbos desecrator, and even if the workers in a factory are idolaters. So very interesting. See Igras Moshe or Achain. So Igras Moshe, so Moshe Feinstein that's all said. So if he's not observant Jew, right, and let's say all of his workers non-Jewish, or is him not Shabbos observant? So he said deep into the mikvah, right? No, nobody said not deep, but said deep without the blessing. Actually, 1 second. Let me make sure. If the utensils are manufactured by a Jew, they do not require immersion. This is true. Even manufacturer is not observing Shabbos. No, okay. So Rabbi Moshe Zatzal said no. Even if he's an owner of the factory, he's not Shabbos observant. So in some cases, we do not suspect that he would do something wrong. Okay. So I mean, maybe he's not Shabbos observant, but this he would not do. Okay. This Halachic doubt whether utensils were made by a Jew and sold to an idolater required immersion. So that's actually what I was talking about before. So I mean, you don't most of the time we don't buy directly from the manufacturer, right? And even if you go and the store owner is a Jew, right? He did not manufacture them. Therefore, one who purchased them from idolatrous merchant should immerse them without reciting blessing. So basically, Rabbi Moshe said, even if you know that, I don't know, maybe in Israel or even here in America, so you know that this factory is a Jew owned, right? And you buy from a from a distributor. Immerse without blessing. Okay. So I would say, so we have a rule in our family, we immerse everything. So the only difference is we're trying to say blessing, right? Every time. So you have something that for sure requires blessing. And that's it. And it would cover all other things. Or if you don't have anything that requires blessing, so immerse without blessing. There's no problem. Don't say anything, just immerse. Safe number 2. Since utensils require immersion specifically in a place that is valid for immersion of the woman, therefore one must be careful not to immerse these in rivers when they are swollen with the rain or melting snow. Right? That's an issue. Why? This is very common practice before Pesach, when the rivers are swollen. And people immerse the utensils there. However, it is not proper practice. Or see below 162.12. Okay, so let's see the commentary. There, people, the Kitzur provides some background for these laws and suggests what one can do if the swollen river is the only place available for a woman to perform her immersion. Okay, so we're going to get to it, Beezrat HaShem. So in regular rivers without this snow, right, you can, or without rain. We're going to see what is the issue, and I'm going to explain why I have this doubt, because in regular mikvahs, they're using fresh water from the tap, right? It's one pool, and another pool is a rainwater from the roof, right? They collect the rainwater and they connect it through the pipe, right? So, but he said the rainwater is not good, so we're going to see then what is the problem. Okay, so step number 3. Wooden utensils do not require immersion. However, if they have iron hoops on them, they require immersion, but without reciting the blessing. Earthenware utensils too do not require immersion. However, if they are coated only on the inside with a lead, which are called glazed, like a glaze, right? I think it's Yiddish. They require immersion without reciting a blessing. The same applies to the utensil of the porcelain. So wood. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch said no, not required. Right? If they have some metal parts, you immerse without blessing. Earthenware not required, but if it has a glaze, so this glaze is, I don't think that today anybody would do it with the lead, but they might do it with the glass, right? So liquid glass, and they would glaze to protect from outside. So if it's a glass, that's when you need to immerse. Number 6 commentary. If they're coated only on the outside, they do not require immersion because there is no contact with the food. If they're coated both on the inside and outside, they must certainly be immersed, and blessing must be recited. Kitzur here discuss utensils that are coated only on the inside. So on inside they say immersed without blessing. On the inside and outside, when they coat it with this with a glaze, so you immerse with a blessing. So as we said here, he's talking about lead. So lead is one of the metal that prescribed biblically, right? It's not in the Rabbi, it's biblical. But today, as I said, I don't think they would use lead. Mostly glass. Okay, commentary. They immerse without reciting blessing, meaning if it's only from inside. Commentary. It should be noted that coating of the which Kitzur speaks was of more substantial nature than the glaze found in contemporary China. Perhaps for this reason, it's prevalent custom today not to immerse China. Okay, it's not always true. I mean, we try to immerse everything. Of course, you don't say the blessing. So first of all, you don't know which glazing it is. If it's glass, that's problematic. If it's they do it with some kind of gases, I'm not sure, like that have nothing to do with the glass. So in this case, you would not be obligated, but still proper thing to do it. The same applies to utensils of porcelain. Porcelain commentary. Porcelain utensils do not require immersion, but as with the earthenware, if the inside was coated with material that requires immersion, they are to be immersed without blessing. Here too, if they were coated both on inside and outside with a substance that would require immersion, the blessing must be recited upon the immersion. Okay, so I think today when we say porcelain, usually it's not glazed. Okay, I'm not a big expert in all of the dishes, but I think when we say porcelain, it's not glazed. So China is glazed. Okay. So halacha number 4. If it is old, there is used utensil, which idolater had used in a manner that would require that it render fit for a kosher use. Hagala, purging with hot water, of libum, fire purging. One must first render it kosher use and then immerse it. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. So let me read from the beginning, and we're going to explain, and there are a few commentaries. If it is old used utensil, or I would say if somebody did not keep kosher before, and so many things we're able to kosher, not everything, but many things we're able to kosher. Right? There is certain criteria. So first we kosher those utensils. And then you have to put them in the mikveh. Why? Because they were used before for non-kosher food. Or, for example, even you have a milk plate, right? And somebody have a guest over, and he used it or she used it for a meat, hot meat. You put in your milk plate and put it in microwave, warm it up, right? So that's, of course, that's the problem. Right, so you would need to kosher it and then immerse it into the mikveh. Okay, so one more time the whole sentence. If it is old, there is used utensils which the idolater had used, or we said there are some people made it not kosher, knowingly, unknowingly, it doesn't matter, in a manner that would require that it render fit for kosher use, right? So commentary. Utensil might undergo one of the following processes. If it was used in a certain manner, for example, cook or contain hot food. So if it was only cold food, there is there is a different way of koshering. So it's I would say the easiest and the safest. Right, but otherwise, if it was used for hot food, by either hagala, purging with a hot water, So let's read and then we're going to explain. Hagala purging with water is generally accomplished by placing a utensil into a pot of boiling water, which causes the utensil to expel the taste it has absorbed. The law of purging is discussed in detail, Siman 116. Okay, we're not going to get to it anytime soon. So in a few words, just the summary. So you have a bigger pot. Of course, it's clean. So you clean your pot, for example, that you are using for cooking. Cooking meaning something with liquid. So even if it was used with oil, doesn't matter. All of the liquids, it's cooking. So how do you render them kosher? You dip in that big pot with a boiling water for a few seconds to take it out, right? Dry it, of course. Take it to the mikveh, and you're good, right? That's one approach for the things that were used for cooking. Or libun, fire purging. So let's see commentary. If a non-kosher taste became absorbed in a utensil through the use, that is not involved liquid. For example, if non-kosher meat was broiled on a grill, it must be purged with a libum, heated utensils directly over the fire. So that's if you're talking about frying pan, like it could be very dangerous. So I mean they do not explain here because it's not the proper place. I think they're going to explain this 116. But they say even to warm them, right? Even to the temperature, like it would be almost red. So I would say it's a very dangerous thing to do. And some clowns just take a torch, do a few rounds, and they say that's kosher, which is not, right? So it's very, very dangerous to do this thing, and we always advise people just to buy new frying pans. They do not cost so much money. Like I don't know, for $100, even under $100, you can buy the whole set of your frying pans. Okay. Continue. One must first render it fit for kosher use. So meaning whatever you do, you do with the water, you do it with the fire, right? So it's kosher, and then immerse it. So the last step, and it actually comes from parasha when Torah is talking about the war in the Midian, when Jewish soldiers brought spoils from the Midianites, and I think it were those Midianites, and they were told to kosher it and dip it in the mikveh. Commentary. If one immerses the utensil before purging them of non-kosher flavor, his action appears paradoxical, as if he attempts to purify them through tvilah. Tvilah meaning dipping, right? While at the same time rendering their non-kosher impurities, retaining their non-kosher impurities. So I mean, what did we achieve? Exactly zero. Okay, so try maybe. Okay, so continue. Number 5. So first you make it kosher, then you dip into the mikveh. Or if you bought brand new, just dip into the mikveh. If one borrowed a rental utensil from idolater, it does not require immersion. Commentary. Since it still belongs to idolater, however, if it may have been used for a non-kosher food, one must perform hagala or libum as cases requires. Okay, so here's the thing. So if you borrow a pot from a non-Jew, right? And let's say it's a brand new pot, so you're not obligated to immerse it in the mikveh. You can use it as it is. But if you borrow from him or from her used pot, So you have to kosher. Okay, you have to kosher. You're not obligated to dip it in the mikveh, but you're still obligated to kosher it. So there is a problem. There is a big, huge problem that I think that they discover. I'm not sure when they discovered, when big scandal. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, maybe so, I don't know. When was it? So like few famous caterers, they were renting the plates and all of the cutlery from a non-Jew rental place. So technically, they're not obligated to dip it in the mikvah on one hand. On the other hand, they will use for non-kosher food. That's the issue. So they were saying maybe they would only be cold food, this food, that. So, but it was a big scandal, basically. I mean, on one hand, I understand, because I understand them in a sense that some capricious customers, they want only these plates with this size, that size, square, with yellow, with red, with a green. So of course they don't have all of these plates available. I mean, it would take a lot of money and a lot of storage, right, and maintenance. And there's certain companies that's what they do. They rent out the dishes, right, and cutlery. That's what the business is. So okay, that's what is a big issue. Okay. Continue. However, if one borrows utensils made by a idolater from a Jewish shopkeeper, they require immersion without reciting blessing. One more time. However, if one borrows or rents utensils made by a idolater from a Jewish shopkeeper, they require immersion without reciting blessing. So we're going to see why. It's very interesting. In this case, there is a difference of opinion among the authorities whether such utensils require immersion. See, Yoreh De'ah 128. Okay, why? The borrower or the renter must therefore immerse them in order to fulfill his possible requirement. Nevertheless, no blessing is recited to avoid the possibility of reciting blessing in vain. If one was so technically, so let's before we continue, what is the problem? So someone, if I understand this correctly, then I'm going to explain. If I understand this correctly, so since all of the Jews responsible for each other, so it was technically his obligation to immerse it. So he did not immerse it. Okay, so now I have to immerse it. But since some poskim say, some rabbis say that it was still like rental, like or some that was borrowed. So you're not obligated, right? As in the case of borrowed things from a non-Jew, right? So you were not obligated, right? So we say dip it according to stricter opinion, but without the blessing. So according to the more lenient opinion, so just in case if they are right, so we don't know who is right, so we would not say the blessing can win. Continue with commentaries. If one was served kosher food in a kosher dishes in a Jewish establishment, if one was served the kosher food in kosher dishes in a Jewish establishment, where the dishes were not being immersed, the halacha is as follows. If the food is a liquid, such as soup or a drink, which cannot be served without a bowl or a cup, it is forbidden to eat from this utensil. If it was not immersed. If the food is solid, then in cases of pressing it, one may consider the plate upon which it is resting unnecessary for the meal, and eat the food that is on the plate either with his hands or with cutlery from the material that does not require immersion. So let's try to understand what it says here. So we're going to read from the beginning this piece and explain. It's very interesting. If one was served kosher food in a kosher establishment, kosher dish in Jewish establishment, so Jewish restaurant, where the dishes have not been immersed, so they were supposed to get immersed and did not. Well, not. The halacha is as follows: if food is liquid, such as soup, so technically, so what the rationale is if you need this dish or not, yes or no. So if it's a liquid, of course, you have no choice, right? So if you have no choice but use the utensil, then this food is forbidden, right? So one more time, if the food is liquid, such as soup or a drink, which the drink is a better example. As we said, maybe China, maybe it was porcelain, this and that. Maybe it was not obligated to immerse it. But if we're talking about I don't know, whatever, some drink and it's in a glass, right? In a glass, for sure you are obligated to immerse it. So if it's in this situation, it is forbidden to eat or drink from this utensil if it was not immersed. So technically, the same halach applies when we go to somebody's house, and so the person is not exactly a learned person, right? And he's not or she's not exactly observant. So that's the issue. So the best advice: don't go there. That's the best advice. So make up some reason not to go. Right. So on one hand, so we're not allowed to lie, but on the other hand, we're trying to spare another person, another Jew from a sin. From what is a sin? Feeding you from a utensil that you're not allowed to eat from. That's the thing. That's the sin. If the food is solid, then in cases of pressing meat, right, one may consider the plate upon which it is resting unnecessary to the meal. So meaning what, piece of chicken so he can hold in his hand. Okay, are we going to do that? That's a different story. And eat the food. There is on the plate either with his hands or with a cutlery made of material that does not require immersion. Okay, or like with a plastic things. Okay, continue. So that's okay. So let's read this last sentence again. So we have continuation. However, if one borrows or rents utensil made by a idolater from a Jewish shopkeeper, they require immersion without reciting blessings. Continue. And the shopkeeper should inform whoever will later purchase the utensil that it has been immersed previously, in order that the purchaser not immersed its second time with a blessing. So let's say we're talking about pots. They borrow pots from him, so they would immerse with a blessing. So let's say most likely this person did not immerse. So since it's biblical, so I'm going to do it. So the shopkeeper is obligated to warn other people not to immerse. Okay, commentary. A second Jew who purchased the utensil should not recite the blessing when immersing the utensil. For after the borrower or a rental immersed it, there may be no need for another immersion. So I'm not sure why he said it's maybe need. It says the mean. Okay, I mean he immersed it, so we trust that he did everything correctly. I mean that's his business. So if he would not know how to immerse, that's the big issue. We must therefore be told that he has immersed, so that he will not recite the blessing upon immersing it himself. So the last sentence says, so this person, he does not trust this shopkeeper, and he wants to immerse. Okay, he can immerse, he can, there is no problem, but he cannot say blessing. That's the thing. Okay, next halacha number 6. If Jew has a factory in which glass utensils are manufactured, so we're talking about biblical, right? Rabbinical, and the workers are not Jews, then the utensils are manufactured that require immersion without reciting a blessing. Okay, so I mean, they rule a little leniently, Moshe, but here he says a little stricter. So even the Jew is the owner, but the workers not Jews. So he said immerse it. So since it's glass, maybe that's the reason, without the blessing. 16 commentary. Some authorities hold that the worker has the acquired degree of ownership in the utensils due to the improvements that he contributed to them. It's very interesting language, right? So it was raw, I don't know, sand or whatever from what they make glass, and he did whatever he did, right? And he improved it, and he's partially that owner, at least a contributor. According to the utensil required immersion. Others hold the utensil remain under the complete ownership of a Jewish proprietor of the factory, and therefore not require immersion. So I mean, I can see both sides. And the utensil must therefore be immersed, but the blessing should not be recited. So just to be on the safe side, so many times, unless it's like a non-Jewish company, so we can assume that it's not Jewish company, or maybe it's like a public company, right? The CEO may be Jew, maybe he was originally the owner, but then the public the company went public. It's now owned by stockholders, so it's no longer his, basically. In modern factories, utensils are usually not made individually by a worker, but by a machine. Okay, exactly. In addition, the workers are not paid for each individual utensils made, but by day or week. Rabbi Moshe finds in the Tzal therefore holds that in this case one is not required to immerse utensils, as we said there. So he said they have no share in these utensils, and he said that's why not obligated to say blessing. Okay, we have more HaShem. So let's do another one. Number 7. Okay, we're at 16. Number 7. If Jew gave a silver or other type of metal to an idolater craftsman to make a utensil for him, okay, so he gave this raw material, or to repair for him a utensil that had developed a hole, an utensil in its broken state and could not hold the revis, then upon completion, this utensil also required immersion without reciting the blessing. So revis, as we said, it's minimum 3.2 ounces, and the opinion goes to 5.1 ounces. Okay. So okay, so there is a utensil, whatever utensil is it, let's say a pot, right? And there was a hole, so we wanted to fix it, and we give it to this non-Jewish professional, right, with a material or without material, and it's so broken, it could not hold revis. So revis is a minimum requirement, right? So for example, when we learn laws of Shabbos, so we said what is the requirement for a cup? So minimum requirement, it must hold revis of wine. Okay, he is going to explain. Okay, so he goes a little more lenient that we said, but okay. So it says between 2.9 fluid ounce. I'm not sure who said it, but okay. So in case of the extreme need, we can rely on 2.9, right? And 5.1 ounces. So it's 17.3 cc to 33.3 cc. It is not. I'm not sure why it says that. 29. It's not sure. It's not. So 1 ounce is around from 17 to 33 cc. So okay, no problem. So technically we got it. So almost 3 ounces to 5 ounces. That's a minimum requirement. See Appendix A. A container that is broken to the extent that it cannot no longer contain an amount as small as Revi loses its status as a utensil, and upon being repaired is considered new utensil. See the following note. So technically, even though it was our utensil, and we gave it to this guy just to fix it, but since it was broken so much, it was not able to contain this, let's say minimum this 3 ounces. So that's of course it's like broken, completely broken. Now he fixed it. So it's like he recreated a new utensil. So we have to immerse it. Of course, we hope that he didn't use it for cooking or for eating his lunch. So that's why we obligated only to immerse it. Then, upon completion, this utensil also required immersion without reciting the blessing. Commentary. In both instances, it is unclear whether it is considered a utensil in which a daughter has an ownership. If due to the improvement contributed by the idolater, we consider the craftsman to have acquired degree of ownership in it, right? Then it requires immersion. However, if the improvement does not grant him even partial ownership of the utensil, it does not require immersion. Because of this uncertainty, the utensil must be immersed, but the blessing should not be recited. Right, so that's the final thing. Okay, so and of course we assume that is metal. I mean, copper or silver, something like that. Okay, so the next halacha is very long. Not sure if we can finish. Of course, we cannot. So let me just maybe read. Okay, we're going to just read it. There is no need to immerse all utensils that come into contact with any food. Rather, only utensils that are used for food that is ready to be eaten immediately, without any further preparation, required immersion. Okay, so what does it mean? So let's do this halacha. So okay, so only, as we said, only ready foods. So what does it mean? Commentary. This includes not only utensils like dishes and cutlery, which are used primarily for fully prepared food, but even utensils such as pots, since the pot is in contact with food that is ready to be eaten when it cooking completed. Only utensils that are used to process foods so that they can later be prepared, but never come in contact with prepared foods, such as Kitzur mentioned below, do not require immersion. So something like when you work with a raw food. So continue. However, the iron utensils with which the unbaked matzahs are prepared, and with which the dough is cut, right? So you have the special thing to cut the dough. I'm not sure what is it called, right? It's not a knife. It's like it has like thick blade, right? It's not even. I mean, it's not sharp, and it has a handle. So you cut the dough in portions. So of course the dough is not edible, and that's why you're not obligated to immerse it. Okay, so and which to cut the dough, and the needle with which to stuff birds, and so before being cooked. So there is a delicacy. So you put in a chicken or a goose, you put like a stuffing inside, right? And then you sew with a needle and the thread close, so all of the juices are going to stay inside, right? So of course it's not a utensil that touches the ready food. And the like do not require immersion. Commentary: since these utensils are used only during the preliminary stages of the food preparation. Continue. But the slaughtering knife, so of course it's also is not really full. Slaughtering knife, or a knife used for skinning animals, since such a knife could be used for prepared food. And similarly, the trays upon which the unbaked matzahs are placed during the preparations require immersion without reciting the blessing, even though it is a material that is requires the blessing. But since I mean, the knife is a knife. Any knife you can do for food preparation, even though it was designated for something else. So, but still, okay. So we immerse, but without blessing. Commentary: although these utensils are used primarily before the food is ready for eating, since they can also be used with food that is completely prepared, one should immerse them but not recite blessing. This was 21. Regarding tripod upon which the pot is placed while cooking, the law is that since the food itself does not come into contact with it, it does not require immersion. So all the foods that, all the surfaces that do not come into contact with food, not require immersion. However, the iron spit that you put through the chicken, right, upon which the meat is roasted, or you have a barbecue, right, require immersion, or shish kebab, right, with a blessing. Commentary: as with a pot, although the meat is placed upon the spit before it is ready to be eaten, since at time it is removed from the spit, it has become table ready. The spit requires immersion. A bread toaster does not require immersion. Bread toaster, since its purpose is to dry out bread that is already baked and ready to eat. It is not considered a meal utensil. So it's very interesting. I think some rabbis require to immerse. So of course, you're going to immerse the toaster? You're not. So that's what we do exactly as we explained with this aluminum containers. We disassemble and then assemble back. That's the solution. But of course, you can always rely absolutely 100% on Igras Moshe and Don who said that no requirement of immersion for toasting. Okay, continue. Some authorities said that large glass utensils, for example, jugs and bottles, from which one does not drink, okay, but people used to hold beverages in them and pour from them into cups, are not considered utensils that pertain to meal and do not require immersion. Other authorities say that they do require immersion. Siyad Ephraim, Yoradaya 121. Right? Therefore, one should immerse them without reciting blessing. So I'm not sure, like big jars. I mean, of course, nobody drinks from them, but okay. So as they say, it's better to immerse without blessing. Commentary. And last commentary we start. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein Zatzal writes in Niglas Moshe Yorah Deya, Part 2, paragraph 40, that one who buys whiskey or coffee in a glass bottles or other food items in cans from an idolater is not required to immerse those bottles or containers before using them for other foods. This is because these bottles and containers have no intrinsic value to the idolater's seller and are purely intended for the sake of the containing food or drink inside them. It is only if the hands of the Jewish purchaser and the user that they gain the status of importance of utensil in which on their own right when he decides to use them and hold them food afterwards. They are thus a dim utensil made by a Jew which do not require utensils. Okay, immersion. Sorry. So let's quickly explain. So what does it mean? So all of the jars. So we have we buy jars of pickles, right? So you finish pickles, and the jar is good. Have a tight lid, and you can continue using it, right? In this case, it's not utensil. Why is not utensil? Because for a seller, it was they sell you cucumbers, right? They sell tomatoes. They say they sell you whatever is inside, right? That this jar is only to deliver it to you, right? To hold it in a place. So for them, there's no significance. Since there is no significance, it's never utensils. Since it's never utensils, and you made it utensil, so you can. It's like made by a Jew, so you're not required to immerse them. But if you buy this, I think the brand name is Bowl, right? This jars for pickling or for other things, right? So in those you must immerse. Why? Because they were made specifically as a separate utensil. So okay, right, we stop here. So thank you very much. So until tomorrow we do Rambam. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.